Nobody talks about this, but it's quietly destroying motorcycles everywhere. A hidden danger, so common it affects almost every rider, has been linked to catastrophic crashes, unexpected blowouts, and repair bills that drain wallets faster than a bad loan. The shocking truth? Most riders don't even know they're already riding with it right now. This isn't about a rare defect or an expensive part failure. It's about a silent mechanical betrayal that builds mile by mile until it snaps without warning. And when it does, no amount of skill, no piece of tech, and no safety feature can save you. Stay with me, because today we're exposing the overlooked habit that turns your bike into a ticking time bomb. And when you hear the last on our list, you'll realize this isn't just maintenance, it's survival. The lie your bike tells at low pressure. The most dangerous motorcycle problem is not the one you see, it is the one you feel too late. Underinflated tires are masters of disguise. They do not explode on the driveway or scream for attention like a broken chain. Instead, they whisper, lulling riders into a false sense of security. The bike still rolls, the engine still hums, the road still stretches ahead. But beneath that calm, the trap is already set. At first, the steering feels only a little lazy, as if the bike is reluctant to lean. Corners widen without warning, braking distances stretch by just a few feet, and the suspension feels softer than usual. None of it screams danger. It feels almost comfortable, like the road has gone quiet. That is the lie. What seems smooth is actually the tire deforming, flexing, and overheating with every revolution. The betrayal is subtle but deadly. Riders convince themselves the machine is fine for now, promising to check pressure tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes, and every mile ridden on soft rubber is a mile closer to disaster. The bike that feels safe has already begun working against its rider, hiding the danger until it finally shows itself at the worst possible moment. And when that moment arrives, it is not intuition that saves you. It is understanding the physics of how failure builds from within. The physics of failure. Every motorcycle tire is designed with a specific pressure window that balances strength, grip, and longevity. Drop below that window and the entire equation unravels. The sidewalls begin to flex more than intended. With each turn of the wheel, they bend and rebound like an overworked muscle. That motion creates heat, and heat is the enemy of rubber. As heat builds, a tire's chemical bonds weaken, and compounds designed for grip begin to fail from within. The tread wears unevenly, leaving patches with inconsistent traction. Stability disappears, predictability vanishes. One corner holds, the next betrays. Soft rubber turning every lean into a gamble the rider cannot control. Load capacity is another invisible casualty. For every few pounds per square inch a tire loses, it sheds dozens of pounds of safe carrying ability. Add a passenger or luggage, and suddenly the tire is carrying weight it cannot safely manage. At speed, this imbalance can turn into violent wobble or complete structural failure. Even handling balance is distorted. A low front tire creates understeer, making the bike fight its way through a curve. A low rear tire exaggerates oversteer, swinging the back end out wider than expected. In both cases, the motorcycle no longer responds faithfully to the rider's input. This chain reaction shows why a slightly soft tire is not just a nuisance. It is the first domino falling. And when dominoes fall, the numbers that follow are alarming. The numbers behind the risk. Statistics strip away the illusion that underinflation is harmless. Studies across the automotive and motorcycle world have shown that vehicles running with tires more than 1/4 below recommended pressure are nearly 3 times as likely to suffer a tire-related crash. On 4 wheels, there is room for error, but on 2 wheels, the margin disappears entirely. Consider the math of load. Every drop of 4 pounds per square inch reduces safe load capacity by roughly 80 pounds. That means a rider who neglects to top up a slightly soft tire could already be exceeding the tire's rated ability simply by carrying a passenger or a set of saddlebags. At highway speed, that excess weight strains the tire to the breaking point. Even tiny pressure changes matter. A decrease of only 2 pounds per square inch can alter how quickly a tire heats up, how evenly it wears, and how consistently it grips the road. Multiply that across hundreds of miles, and the effect compounds. What began as a minor oversight becomes a recipe for sudden failure. Numbers also expose a dangerous psychology. Many riders assume that because they have not crashed yet, their habits are safe. In truth, they have simply been lucky. The odds are not on their side, and every ride with low pressure rolls those dice again. The data makes the risk undeniable. But the beauty of this problem is that the solution is remarkably simple, affordable, and fast. If this is opening your eyes, imagine how much more you'll gain by staying until the end. Hit subscribe now, because every day we uncover the truths other riders miss, and the next one could literally save your life. And if this spoke to you, drop a comment. What's the one riding habit you'll never compromise on? The simple routine that saves lives. Unlike complex mechanical failures, underinflated tires can be prevented with a habit that takes less than a minute. The key is consistency. Riders must check pressure when the tires are cold, meaning before the day's ride or after the bike has rested for at least 2 hours. Gauges at fuel stations are often inaccurate, so carrying a personal digital gauge ensures readings are reliable. The correct pressure is not a guess, nor is it what a friend recommends. It is printed in the motorcycle's manual or on a label attached to the frame. Those numbers are calculated for safety under typical loads. If a passenger or heavy luggage is added, riders should adjust upward as the manual directs. The routine becomes second nature when paired with the Motorcycle Safety Foundation's TCLOCS checklist. A quick walk-around, checking tires, controls, lights, oil, chassis, and stands, makes tire pressure part of a broader safety ritual. Each check becomes a reminder that the ride has not truly started until the bike is verified safe. The payoff is more than mechanical. Knowing the tires are at proper pressure creates peace of mind. Instead of wondering whether the bike will hold in an emergency, the rider knows it will respond as designed. That confidence sharpens focus, lowers stress, and turns maintenance into the cheapest insurance policy a motorcyclist can buy. And once riders lock this ritual into their week, they begin to ask a deeper question. If one habit can transform risk, what other skills could make the street feel even safer? Want the exact gauge, pump, and training gear I use? Check the description. Everything's linked so you can upgrade your setup before your next ride. Why parking lot masters own the street. To outsiders, a rider circling a quiet parking lot might look like they are wasting time. To those who know, that rider is building a skill set that turns public roads into easy ground. The parking lot is not just empty space. It is a laboratory where confidence and control are forged. Riders who commit to slow-speed drills discover something transformative. The more difficult the exercise, the easier everyday traffic feels. A bike that feels heavy and stubborn in a U-turn suddenly feels nimble on city streets. A clutch hand that once trembled with hesitation develops the finesse to feather power smoothly. Braking, balance, and body position are rehearsed over and over until they are no longer thoughts, but instincts. With those instincts comes calm, and with calm comes safety. Low tire pressure exposes itself almost instantly in these drills. The vague steering, the unexpected wobble, the sluggish lean, what might go unnoticed on a gentle suburban ride, becomes obvious the moment precision is demanded. In this way, the parking lot becomes a built-in diagnostic tool. A rider who trains there will feel the warning signs long before they become a hazard on the highway. And once the foundation of this perspective is set, the next step is learning how the very first belt of Moto Jitsu drills teaches the building blocks of mastery. White belt, space, sightlines, smoothness. The white belt drills are the alphabet of motorcycle control. They look simple. U-turns across parking spaces, weaving through lanes, steady throttle and clutch control. Yet within that simplicity lies the secret to handling any motorcycle at its limits. Every inch of space is used. Riders are taught not to cut corners but to stretch wide before each turn, giving themselves room to let the machine lean. The drill starts without rear brake, forcing focus on clutch and throttle. With fewer variables, smoothness becomes the goal. Gentle throttle steadies the bike, steady clutch avoids stalls. Riders feel balance, sense flow, and learn exactly how much input is enough. Even more importantly, the white belt stage builds an awareness of sight lines. Looking where you want to go is drilled into muscle memory. That habit, repeated dozens of times in a parking lot, later saves lives when a distracted driver swerves and the rider must instantly choose a path of escape. These white belt lessons are deceptively powerful. They create the baseline of awareness that every higher skill builds upon. And when that baseline is firm, the challenge is ready to increase, leading directly to the tighter, faster demands of the blue belt stage. Blue belt, timing and tight transitions. Blue belt drills are where hesitation is punished and timing is everything. Instead of skipping spaces, the rider executes back-to-back U-turns with no break in between. The parking lot suddenly feels smaller, forcing quicker reactions and sharper inputs. It is here that balance lapses are exposed. A late clutch release, a sloppy throttle roll, or a glance in the wrong direction can topple the entire maneuver. The rear brake is introduced not as a dramatic stop-start control, but as a gentle stabilizer. A light, consistent drag allows the rider to adjust speed with precision, keeping the machine composed through aggressive leans. This brake throttle clutch triangle becomes second nature with repetition, teaching riders to manage momentum under stress. What does this mean on the street? It means that panic turns, evasive swerves, and tight cornering in traffic feel slower and more manageable. Where an untrained rider might freeze, the trained rider flows. Confidence replaces panic because the muscles have already lived through tighter, harsher versions of the same demand. Blue belt is the stage where riders realize drills are not just practice, they are preparation for chaos. And when chaos comes, the ability to time and transition smoothly is the difference between weaving safely through danger or being trapped by it. From there, the path leads to the higher belts, where precision is tested at the very edge of control. Brown and black belt, precision at the edge. Brown belt drills condense the parking lot even further. Figure eights are drawn across 4 spaces, demanding quick transitions and deep lean angles. Every inch of ground matters. Riders who hesitate, who fail to commit to the lean, find themselves running wide or losing balance. These drills replicate the pressure of real-world maneuvers, like swinging wide for a U-turn in a narrow street, while cars approach from both directions. Black belt drills take the concept to its purest form, full lock circles. The handlebars are cranked all the way, the clutch and throttle set, and control is achieved almost entirely with the rear brake. It feels impossible at first, yet once learned, it proves that a motorcycle can be balanced at angles and speeds most riders never imagine. The discipline is not about looking impressive. It is about building complete command. These higher-level drills also expose mechanical flaws with startling clarity. An underinflated front tire makes the bike resist the lean. An unevenly worn rear creates instability that becomes obvious in a tight circle. What might be ignored on a straight highway shouts for attention here. The rider knows immediately that something is wrong, and that awareness sends them to the gauge before the issue becomes deadly. By the time a rider has faced the demands of brown and black belt drills, the street feels calm, obstacles shrink, threats slow down. Mastery in the lot translates directly into safety everywhere else. When 1 psi error breaks the whole system, a single pound per square inch might not sound like much, but on a motorcycle it can be the crack that spreads through the entire structure. When a tire runs soft, the damage is not limited to grip. It ripples into every other component. The suspension must absorb more of the road's punishment because the tire no longer carries its share. That means shocks work harder, fork seals wear faster, and the smooth balance between tire and suspension is lost. Braking is another casualty. With underinflated rubber, the contact patch stretches unevenly, and the bike takes longer to stop. What was once a confident squeeze of the lever becomes a drawn-out skid across extra feet of asphalt. At highway speeds, those feet become yards, and those yards can be the length of a crosswalk or the distance to the bumper ahead. Electronic systems like anti-lock braking depend on stability. They measure wheel rotation thousands of times per second, but those calculations assume the tire itself is working properly. When a tire deforms, the sensors receive skewed data, and the system reacts too late or in the wrong way. Instead of a smooth pulsing stop, the rider may feel abrupt jolts or even a total loss of control. The risk grows with every added pound of load. A single passenger or a bag of groceries can be the tipping point. What seemed like a harmless error multiplies into a cascade of weakness. And while this domino effect is dangerous, it is not the only trap. Sometimes nature itself conspires against riders. The weather trap that catches riders off guard. Tire pressure is not fixed. It is alive, expanding and contracting with every swing of the thermometer. A rider who checks their tires in the cool morning might see a perfect number on the gauge, but by the hot afternoon ride, those same tires are running several pounds higher. The reverse happens in winter. Pressures that look fine in a heated garage plummet when the bike hits the icy street. This is the weather trap that quietly fools thousands of riders. They assume one reading holds true for the whole day, or worse, for the whole season. In reality, a 10-degree change in temperature can shift pressure by a full pound per square inch. Across months, as autumn fades to winter, the drop can be so steep that a bike ridden daily slowly slides into dangerous territory without the rider ever realizing. The science is simple. Air molecules move faster when heated, pushing harder against the tire walls, and slow down when cooled, leaving the sidewalls to sag. It is the same principle that shrinks a balloon in the cold or makes it taut in the sun. Yet because the effect is gradual, riders rarely notice until the handling feels wrong or until it is too late. This trap is especially cruel because it demands vigilance at precisely the times riders are least likely to think about maintenance, the start of the day and the change of seasons. And when riders ignore these shifts, the result is accelerated wear and hidden damage that take root long before the tire is visibly compromised. The hidden enemies: wear, damage, and mounting errors. Not all threats come from neglect. Some are born the moment a tire is installed. A bead that is not seated properly may hold for weeks before finally slipping under stress. A shortcut at a mounting station, a rush job done without care, can set up failure that only reveals itself at speed. Riders who trust blindly without inspection inherit problems they never created. Even properly mounted tires can turn dangerous with miles. Low pressure or poor suspension balance creates cupping. Internal plies may separate, forming bulges ready to burst. Aging rubber cracks, losing its grip. Each flaw quietly erodes safety, showing up as vibration, wandering lines, or sudden traction loss when riders need control most. The temptation is to squeeze every last mile out of a set of tires. Riders convince themselves they can manage just one more trip or another month before replacement. But tires are not simply consumables. They are the foundation of the entire machine. Early replacement may feel expensive, yet it prevents crashes, tow bills, and hospital stays that cost far more. Neglect and shortcuts turn tires into enemies hiding in plain sight. And while vigilance can uncover them, a dangerous myth still lingers. The belief that modern electronics will step in and save the day when riders fall short. You've seen how dangerous this gets, and we're only halfway through the story. Don't stop here. Subscribe right now, because the next chapters reveal what no one else will tell you. Miss it, and you'll miss your biggest advantage. The tech myth: why electronics can't save you. Technology has changed motorcycling, but it has not rewritten physics. Tire pressure monitoring systems, anti-lock braking systems, and traction control all serve important roles, but they are built on one assumption: that the tires themselves are within their safe limits. When that assumption fails, so does the technology. A pressure monitoring system does not sound the alarm until levels are significantly off, meaning a tire can be dangerously low long before the light appears on the dash. Riders lulled into thinking they can trust the electronics may ride for days with soft rubber, never realizing they are in the danger zone. By the time the warning flashes, the damage may already be done. Anti-lock braking systems and traction control are equally limited. They can pulse the brakes and cut the throttle, but they cannot create grip that no longer exists. If the contact patch is distorted, if the rubber has overheated or worn unevenly, the software is left trying to manage chaos with no real leverage. The result is a false sense of security. Believing that the bike will correct every mistake is a dangerous illusion. The reality is that no button, no light, no algorithm can replace the simple discipline of maintaining proper tire pressure. Riders who forget this put blind faith in systems that were never designed to carry that burden. And that is the final truth of the chain reaction. One overlooked habit weakens the machine, misleads the rider, and outpaces the technology. From there, the consequences extend beyond mechanics into wallets, policies, and even riding culture. The wallet drain you never see coming. Motorcycling is often sold as freedom on two wheels, but freedom has a cost when tires are neglected. Underinflation may seem like a small oversight, yet it quietly bleeds money from a rider's wallet. Fuel efficiency drops first. A tire that drags instead of rolls smoothly forces the engine to burn more fuel, stealing miles from every gallon. Over a single riding season, that difference adds up to hundreds of dollars wasted simply because of soft rubber. The tire itself also suffers. What should last thousands of miles instead wears unevenly, forcing early replacement. Riders who skip a simple air check may find themselves shelling out hundreds for new rubber long before they expected. The damage does not stop there. Suspension components that were designed to work in harmony with properly inflated tires are forced to compensate. Shocks and seals take the abuse, and repair bills climb higher. Touring riders feel this most acutely. Imagine saving all year for a cross-country trip only to lose days, even weeks, because of a preventable blowout. Hotels go unused, fuel money vanishes, and vacation dreams turn into breakdown stories. What looks like pennies saved in effort quickly becomes dollars lost in parts, repairs, and wasted opportunities. And while the economic strain is heavy, institutions also see the ripple effects, treating tire pressure as a serious marker of responsibility. Why insurers and agencies obsess over PSI? Insurance companies and transportation agencies understand a truth riders sometimes ignore. Most tire-related crashes are preventable. When investigators arrive at the scene of an accident, tire condition is one of the first things checked. A severely underinflated tire does not just indicate bad luck, it signals neglect. That neglect can shift liability, affecting claims and settlements in ways that surprise riders. Standards exist for a reason. Tire recalls, manufacturer advisories, and federal guidelines all emphasize maintaining pressure within narrow limits. Shops and service stations follow those standards religiously, often checking pressures before touching anything else on the motorcycle. They do not do this out of courtesy, they do it because liability demands it. If a shop misses an underinflated tire and a rider crashes, legal consequences follow. For riders, keeping simple records can make a difference. A small notebook or even photos on a phone documenting regular pressure checks show insurers that maintenance was taken seriously. In post-incident reviews, that diligence may lead to better treatment and fewer disputes. Riders who treat pressure checks as routine not only protect themselves on the road, but also safeguard their standing in the eyes of the institutions that control financial outcomes after accidents. Yet the responsibility does not belong to individuals alone. Culture plays a role, and more riding groups are turning tire checks into rituals that redefine what it means to belong. From lone riders to culture change. Riding has always been about community, whether it is two friends carving back roads or a club crossing states together. Within those communities, habits spread faster than rules. When one rider checks their pressure before every ride, others notice. Soon, it becomes a point of pride to start the day with a gauge in hand, not just a helmet on the head. What begins as an individual choice becomes a cultural norm. Clubs set the standard with pre-ride inspections, lining up bikes for quick checks before rolling out. It is not embarrassment, but accountability. Once solitary drills become group lessons, shifting the culture from ego-driven displays to shared safety that keeps everyone alive. Peer culture is powerful because it changes perception. Tire checks stop being optional chores and start being automatic rituals. Riders who neglect them stand out not as rebels, but as risks to the group. Over time, these habits redefine the identity of motorcycling itself, shaping a culture where responsibility and freedom ride side by side. And once that culture is built, it naturally funnels into personal routines that make safety effortless, a system every rider can adopt without struggle. The weekly protocol that makes you untouchable. Safety does not have to be complicated. The most effective system is one that fits naturally into a rider's life. A simple weekly protocol can transform risk into routine. It begins with a cold tire check, done in the morning before the bike rolls an inch. That single habit ensures accuracy, revealing pressure changes that would be invisible later in the day. Next comes the TCLOCS walkaround. Tires, controls, lights, oil, chassis, stands. In less than 5 minutes, the rider knows whether the machine is ready for the week ahead. Pair that with a short 10-minute drill session in an empty lot, and confidence grows steadily. These steps may sound basic, but together they create a safety net that few riders ever build. The brilliance of this protocol is psychological. By turning maintenance into a ritual, the rider no longer frames it as a burden. Instead, it becomes a moment of control, a statement that every ride begins on the rider's terms. Over time, this system hardens into habit, and habit hardens into identity. The reward is freedom without fear. Roads feel safer, corners smoother, emergencies less threatening, and the emotional payoff is immense. Do this, and the street becomes the easiest ride of your week. You've seen how one simple habit can decide everything: your safety, your wallet, your freedom on the road. Now it's your move. Hit subscribe, join a community that refuses to ride blind, and never miss the tips that keep you untouchable. Because the next video won't just inform you, it could save your life. And hey, if this hit home, drop a comment to share your thoughts or experiences, and smash that like button so more riders can see this and stay safe too.